It's been a while, man, since we told a little prison story. They're getting scarcer nowadays.
Yeah.
And that mainly has to do with the fact that it's been years now, which is either sad or good. I don't know. Or maybe a combination of both. I don't know what the fuck. The point is, it's not that the well is running dry. It's that I don't like to think about it too much because it fucking licked my ass dry.
So I guess you're glad that we didn't make that solo channel all dedicated to prison?
We still might, you know.
All right.
If there's enough distance between me and that, I still see myself doing it. But that's not going to be a silly channel. That's the thing. Got to do it in the right state of mind. And clearly... Clearly, I'm more concerned with breaking glasses than being in the right state of mind. But yeah, man, it's time to pop one of them prison stories out because it's just time, dude. Every now and then we got to pop them out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the Chinese pop out babies and throw them on the streets. We got to pop out one of them prison stories and throw them out to the audience, see where it sticks.
Just like milk dogs pop out milk.
All right, we killed it. We killed it.
I was trying.
I said we, but I really meant you killed it. But the point is, I'm going to try to tell this story. I say try because the details, again, time has passed. It becomes, a little bit more vague in my mind. But I'm going to try to remember this off the fucking dome as best as I can. And I say that on top of that because this didn't, I'll say 20% of the story didn't happen directly to me. The end of the story, or I shouldn't say the end, the climax of the story, I witnessed indirectly through someone, vicariously, if you will. But I can verify that it happened because, I got the notice right there in my fucking hand. So let me tell you what it's all about. There was this dude I met in lockup called Clint. And Clint was a pretty cool cat, if I ever met one. How cool? Well, took little turds in a cat box. That's how cool.
What the...
No, he didn't do that. But the point is he was a cool guy, man. And cool guys in prison are rare and hard to find. So, he just got along with me pretty good. I got along with him pretty good. He hated just about everyone in the dorm I was in because, he thought, as I mentioned before, my last few years, I was in a faith dorm pursuing some form of spirituality. But the bulk of the people in there were claiming to be Christians. And I say claiming because they weren't. And or were trying to hide because they did something so horrible that the rest of the prison wanted to kill them. So Clint called them on their bullshit all the time, and he kind of hated them. Kept to himself, but he was a hard worker, did a lot of shit, washed clothes. He was really handy with making shit, little prison gadgets and shit. So people would pay him, and he'd come up with these weird little gadgets and, shortcuts and hacks to do stuff in prison with.
Life hacks?
Yeah, prison life hacks. And he was really good at that. And so he and I got along really well. And he was so good with me that he didn't never charge me for any of his little prison life hacks. He would just do shit for me and I'd do shit for him. So anyway, the long story short of that is we got along. We were tight. He was cool, etc. Prison was familiar to him, though. This was his sixth time down. And he was always down on some drug charge because he used to like that meth, you know what I'm saying? He was a white guy. I'm not saying that white guys and meth kind of go hand in hand in prison, but they kind of do. It's that or Nazism. Pick.
Either way.
Either way, it's not a good deal. But he was down for the sixth time, man. But this time, he was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. His family was kind of like, man, we don't believe you anymore. And he was going to probably lose his kids. He definitely lost his wife, etc. So he was like, that's it. He was determined, man. And you know what? Unlike the majority of the people in that dorm that were bullshitting their way through prison, tooting their little ass horns, saying that they were going to, we're Christian now, or we're, whatever the fuck faith they were claiming to be. I'm not saying all of them were that way, but a lot of them were. This guy I believed, man. I was like, he's going to change, man. I think he finally learned. It took a while, but he finally learned. Lo and behold, his time comes, dude, and he leaves. Okay? Now, before we catch up on him on the outside, let me tell you about this friend of mine. I'm going to call him, Red for the sake of this conversation. Red was my cellie at the time, and he and I probably shouldn't say Red because I had a cellie that was actually called Red, but it wasn't that guy. The point is, Red was my cellie at the time, and he as well got along with Clint. Mainly because of me, We were all there. We got along. Well, when Clint left, we all were like, man, you better write. Yeah. And people say, yeah, all right, and they usually don't. You know what I'm saying? Life, they catches up with them. They got to do shit. They don't want to be writing some asshole in prison. And Clint's like, yeah, man, I'll write you back. And Red said, hey, man, when you write fucking Ahab here, make sure and, send information about my family, So he gave him his little, like, Facebook and shit. And he said, just catch me up through Ahab's letters. And I was like, cool. So this is what I mean by say at the ass end of the story, I kind of vicariously experienced that ass end of it. So Clint agrees, right? He goes off into the real world, and we don't hear about him for a couple of months, and that's usually a sign that you're not going to get fucking jack shit from someone. But then, boom, one day, I don't know what that little grunt was.
Weird.
One day, I get a little letter in the mail, man.
Oh, Clint stopped talking to chairs, and then she...
Yeah. Fucking, I get a little letter in the mail, and it's old Clint, man. And he's like, yo, what's up? I'm doing good out here. I'm with my family right now. He was living with his mom. This was like a 38, 39-year-old man, okay? Obviously, he got out. He has nothing. He goes to live with his mom. He said, you know what? My wife just fucking vanished. She left the kids here, so now I'm bonding with my kids again. I'm going to church. Here's the thing about him. He never went to church in prison, but he's actually living the dream here, you know what I'm saying? He got a little job on the side, It's looking good for old Clint, man. And for the next about year or so, he and I write back and forth. And again, this is unheard of that somebody would actually keep up with you in prison, And so far, this guy's checking out his top-notch material, okay? In the meantime, old Red up there is like, hey, man, make sure and ask him about my family, see if he send me something or whatever. And I send him off a little letter. It's like, hey, man, my celly's asking about this. So, the first thing he asks is, can he send me some picture of my kids? So he goes to his little Facebook page, Red's Facebook page, and, finds his little kid and whatever, sends him pictures, his little mom or whatever, and Red's all happy and shit, and, that sates him for a while. So anyway, meanwhile, I'm getting to know Clint as he is outside, and, he no drugs no more. Again, everything's going straight and narrow, right? Well, one day I get a letter that he's going to go visit. He's going to go to a family reunion, man. And he's going to go in about a month's time. And he's scared because his extended family has always been very judgmental of him because, of his history, right? So he's going to go to this little family reunion. He's telling me to pray for him, that it's going to be tough for him to handle this, and that he hopes that they'll all accept him. And he tells me the date of the family reunion. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I send him a letter telling him my best wishes, and I send him the last message from Red, which was, hey, man, can you tell Clint if he could send me a picture of my girlfriend, or my ex-girlfriend, actually, right? And I was like, all right, well, I'll ask him. He goes, here's the thing. Since she's my ex, she probably won't be on my friends list anymore, but give him my password to my Facebook and tell him that there's pictures of her in, the personal photo albums. And I'm like, all right, I'll tell him. And he's like, here's the thing, man. And you got to phrase this right, he tells me. He goes...
It's always a good sign.
Yeah, he goes, my girl isn't a girl. And I'm like, okay. Please elaborate, sir. And he reveals to me that his girl is basically what amounts to... I wouldn't want to say a transsexual, because apparently there was no actual... surgical or hormonal changes going on. So I'm gonna say like a cross-dresser that passed. And I'm like, what the fuck? For real, dude? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, and look, in those folders, you know how I don't know if you still can, but you used to be able to private photos. He goes, there might be some stuff in there that, if he doesn't know that, will surprise him,
flopping around.
So I'm like, so basically you want me to tell him, yeah, there's going to be potential dingalings if he goes into that folder. And he's like, yeah, but just please tell him to,
So you praised that, there might be dingalings.
Well, here's the thing, man. I try to phrase it delicately, like, hey, look, man, Red, he wants you to send these pictures. He says just that be aware that there might be something there that might shock you, but he says, just can you please be cool about it? I didn't disclose the dingaling, but I was being tactful, in a way to give Clint the choice to do it or not, because I didn't want to be the pushy guy in prison either. So anyway, I send this letter off, dude, and time passes, and I get no response, and now I'm kind of like, oh, that's not good. So then I tell Red, hey man, I think this little dingling bullshit pissed off Clint or something, man. And that kind of fucks with me, because I'm not getting a lot of letters in there in prison. Clint was one of the consistent, fucking rocks while I was in there. And all of a sudden, he's not writing me.
Dingling.
And I'm like, dude.
It was like a dingling in the gears.
Yeah. I was like, dude, you shouldn't have told me to send that shit to him, man. Now he's pissed or something. So I send an apology letter. This is about 2 months later, okay? I send an apology letter to him. And I say, hey, man, I'm sorry if that offended you. It was not my intent. I was just passing on the word. Maybe I should have been a bit more open about it or clear about it. Please, if you're not going to write me back, at least write me back this one time telling me that you're cutting me off. That way I won't have that expectation in mind. And so I send that off. Very apologetic letter. And about 2 weeks later, I get a response. But I noticed that I only got letters at that point from 3 people in prison. And, one of them was my mom. And you just recognize the writing on the envelope. And I get that, and I'm like, what the fuck, who's this? So I read it, and it's not Clint, but it's his last name. And it has a female name in the front. So I'm like, huh.
Eastwood.
All right. Open that little sucker up. Guess what happened? Clint died.
All right.
And it's his mom. And she's telling me, hey, listen, maybe I should have sent this off earlier. But since you sent this letter, I figured I'd tell you that Clint passed away. She sent me his little, they have the little obituaries in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Sent me a copy of that. And, a few pictures of him. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy, man. So I tell Red what happened. I tell the people in the dorm that knew Clint. Yeah, this is fucking Clint's dead, man. And then I sit down that night and I'm reading that obituary. And I read when his body was held in state. You know how funeral homes will have viewings. And it's literally a few days after a date that for some reason is pinging on my radar.
Your gaydar.
And I go through my letters, pluck the last one that he sent me, and I realize that it's a few days after that family reunion. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So I send one more missive off to his mom, and I say, hey, look, I don't mean to be harsh, but could you please disclose to me, if you want,
what up with that?
Yeah, how did he pass away? And, well, first of all, I got to say his mom is, got to be straight up hillbilly, because the first sentence, once she got to the topic of once she responded, of how he passed away was, Clint choked.
All right.
Clint choked, period. And I was like, so this is the details that came out from this revelation. Clint choked on a piece of broccoli or vegetable of some sort of that vein. He was up in his room, not his room, I'm sorry. He was up in a room on the computer, and they found him having choked. And it was during the family reunion. And then I go, wait a minute. The last letter I got, I asked him the Red's favor to send the pictures of his chick with a dingling, apparently. He said, I'm not going to be able to do this until the family reunion, which I'm going to. I'm nervous about it, blah, 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 blah. He goes to this family reunion. He sequesters himself in a room, is online, eating food, presumably from the family reunion.
The dingling killed him.
He saw the dingling. This is the theory I came up with in my head. He saw the dingling. He was surprised. He chokes. They don't find him because he's sequestered in a room looking at a dingling. I think that killed Clint, dude.
Damn.
All the fucking shit lines up.
The dingling. It's like a Final Destination scenario.
Yeah. Everything just fucking one after the other, details lined up. And I was like, holy shit. I think this guy was looking up the pictures. It shocked him. He was in the midst of eating during his family reunion. He choked. Since he was alone in that room, nobody came until it was too late.
Dangling.
I am almost 100% concrete sure that that's what happened.
Yeah. chances are when they came to find him, they were seeing that ding-a-ling.
Yes, imagine that.
Damn, dude.
His purple-headed body.
Ding-a-ling.
Fucking ding-a-ling up on the screen, man.
That's the worst.
And I told this to Red, and he was like, and mind you, again, I it was much fresher in my mind at the time. Obviously, it had just happened. And I lined it all up, and, you know, I showed him the dates and the letters and the obituary, and he was like, oh, dude, okay. He was a light black guy, Red. I've never seen a black guy go this pale that quick. He was like, just that sunken look on his face, and he's like, oh, dude.
The ding-a-ling.
I think, and I'm like, yes, right? And he's like, yeah. And I even told other people, like, look, what do you make of this? And the results was always the same. They were like, I think he fucking choked because of the ding-a-ling.
God damn.
So anyway, that's how a ding-a-ling possibly killed a man that had actually come out of prison and done right by himself. Finally, after so many years, fucking ding-a-ling does him in.
Damn. Murder by ding-a-lings.
Murdered by ding-a-lings. Good band name too.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the
tragic tale.
Very tragic tale.
Clint Eastwood.
That's why he's old.
That's
and
what happened after the
dusty.
mule.
Anyway, tell us what you think about that, guys. Hit like, share, subscribe, those notification buttons for more madness from the two piles of lard over here.
Ding-a-ling, dude.
Ding-a-ling killed him.
Well,
we're out.